All right, we can jump off of that. The world, yeah, very dark, gory, misery, decay, suffering. I think the world is really gorgeous. I think it's one of the best pieces within of Diablo 4, and seeing it, I think it looks amazing. I've always, again, my personal nitpick, I wish it was had a little more contrast. Other than that, I think it looks really, really solid. It's a very big world as well. And let's see, this is just kind of showing some of the different regions here. And again, just some of the like art and such. And it just looks really good. They've just done a really fantastic job with all of that. So yeah. Regions. Oh, here we're going into more of the regions. So we've got the Fractured Peaks, which is kind of your frozen landscape. Then we've got the Skazglen, we've got the Dry Steppes for kind of the arid, and the Kyrgyzstan for that as well. Hawizar, Poison, Moldy, Swamp Zone, and then Hell. The developers confirmed there's going to be Hell in Diablo 4. So, this is... Okay, not much information really on Hell right now. So that'll be a thing there. Local events. The world offers numerous activities. Events range from common events like the Drowned attacking the coastline all the way up to world boss events like Ashava and Pestilent. There's also the PvP dedicated zones. And that is discussed in the PvP section, which is just down below. We'll get to there. Towns and strongholds. Over 100 settlements of various sizes for planned release. That's actually a ton of towns. Quests, vendors, waypoints, other players. So that's really cool. I mean, if there's 100 different like towns, and each one of them will have, little quest, vendors, waypoints, whatever things, that's a lot of content just right there. So I think that could be honestly really cool. I mean, they're making a massive world here. And so if I can go around and spend a lot of time doing all that stuff, I think that could be fun. It just depends, are the quests going to be unique enough and things like that, right? Because you could have quests be like kind of the very MMO style, kill 10 boars, collect 5 saber tooths, whatever. And it's like, okay, I'm just, for me, MMO, that's the part of MMOs that I always get a little bored from, is I'm like, every quest is the same, Or you could have something like Breath of the Wild, where every single town has really these different kinds of quests in it. And so if you go to, the Kakariko village, you're going to have town of, I need you to find my cuckoos and things like that. If you're going down to the, what's the name of that town? Whatever. The town in the desert, you're like doing a variety of things, finding the code for the hideout, or you're, solving the water issue, or, so it's like, if you really get, I would just say, literally, Breath of the Wild, and some of the quests were boring, and you could just opt out of those, but some of the quests were interesting and fun. It was fun to go and try and explore and find Lover's Lake and, all of that. It's fun to, like, try and kind of solve the little quest puzzles, all of that. So I think if there's a good mix and a variety of quests like that as we go through, I think it'd be really cool. If all the quests are just kill 30 chaos spores and you just keep doing that over and over again, but change the animal out, I think it just starts to get a little like, all right, every town now is just feeling the same. Thanks, Ho-Ho-Jo. Thanks, Tin Man. I want crazy in-depth character building, not a place to do mission after mission. Yeah. So I think, if you incorporate some discovery into it, it's it's very cool. But I like the idea still that there are 100 different towns, and you can go and kind of find all that stuff. I think that'll be cool. I think there's a hardcore mode for you. Strongholds are locations of importance overrun by enemies, which you have to find throughout the world. Quests won't directly send you to them. These are private for you and your party until they're cleansed. Once cleansed, you'll receive loot, and they turn into friendly outposts with quests, vendors, a waypoint location, and will sometimes unlock dungeon entrances. When joining a group, the party leaders state the strongholds will be used. So strongholds are cool right there, in that you're kind of unlocking new towns, which I think is really cool. I think that's actually really fun. It's been used in a couple other games for sure, but I like the idea of you can just not find it and not cleanse it, and it just exists as it is, and it's a place you can't really go. Or if you go there, explore there, cleanse it, it then opens up. So I like that idea. Waypoints, returns fast way to travel. Perfect, I love waypoints. Shrines grant the player a temporary buff. These are a few of the example shrines. Greed Shrine, enemies drop gold when hit. Lethal Shrine, all your hits are critical strikes. I don't know if I like that one as much. Vampiric Shrine, you are healed when dealing damage. Those feel really strong. I don't know if I love the idea of OP shrines, personally. Because then a shrine is like too much. Like my thought is a little bit to Diablo 3, when you're doing the greater rifts, at some point there comes a point where if you get the conduit, then you're gonna like dominate. But if you don't get the lightning conduit, then you're not going to be able to finish in time. So that's my only. Yeah, it's the rarity of the shrines is important, but I still just do have a slight. I like the idea of shrines having buffs for sure. But if it's enough where it's like all your hits are critical strikes and you get that shrine right before a boss, does that change it so now the boss fight becomes nothing? Shrine should be OP. I mean, it seems like a lot of people in chat like an OP shrine. I like the shrine being less OP. D2 shrines are walked past, save experience shrines in endgame. Yeah, I mean, I think that is a product of Diablo 2 endgame characters being too powerful. But like if there was a shrine that gave you a 5 to 10% damage boost, that would always be useful. If max resistances weren't so common, then getting a max resist shrine, or plus 50% whatever shrine, would be very useful. Even a shrine that gives you 25% chance increased crit strike is useful. Thanks, Super Devil. So, right. I think you're too OP in Diablo 2, thus the shrines lose some value from that. But yeah, I don't think Diablo 2 shrines are fantastic. I don't think Diablo 3 shrines are fantastic. I don't think either one of those games really got shrines right. I think Diablo 1 shrines were a little cooler, though not really having an understanding of what happened and if it was good or bad, was a little rough. But yeah, I'm just saying you can buff 10, 15, 20% chance increase crit strike. I just think every single hit crit strike is like really OP, and that's a massive difference from having that shrine versus not having that shrine. And I think that's too much personally. Story and campaign of Diablo 4. Boring, whatever. Campaign is non-linear. Players will be able to choose freely between acts. 35-hour experience. Wow. Okay. The story will be the first chapter of a book. So they really want to continue that. And the world is supposed to always feel like being a day late and a dollar short. Diablo 4 story will be more grounded than Diablo 3 story. There will be stories about the simple folk in their villages rather than high fantasy stories about heroes, kings, and politics. Lore books will make a return. Diablo 4 is another storytelling device. Non-linear, because they're making open world. But the main quest will still probably send you on a certain path, you know. They don't want to bring back Diablo right away. Bringing back bosses from previous Diablo games should feel organic and correct. There should be a reason for it. They should return, not just for the sake of it. Interesting. So yeah, non-linear is going to be very interesting. Like I say, I imagine there is a main quest that will lead you on a certain kind of path. But you have the ability to go in any capacity you want. Barb, Druid, Source, Rogue, and Necro. Really just leaning into their Diablo 2 right there. I do love the campfire. I think the customization's also pretty dope. So I think that is cool. Again, I don't think that's something that makes or breaks a game for me in any capacity. You could have the characters be blocks, and I think you could still have a game be amazing. But I still think all the customization is really cool. They've added this evade ability in Diablo 4. Players familiar with the console version of Diablo 3 might recognize this feature. So I actually found it to be not bad. So essentially you just have like your character here, and like every 5 seconds or something like that, you can make, like a quick dash to like, over here or something. Right. So it is interesting in a fight if you're, you're kind of stuck in a place where they're coming down to hit you. The Lost Ark space bar, you can kind of do the dash a little bit. It seems to be more common nowadays in these sorts of games. So, or, Path of Exile, Flame Dash, or anything like that, right? Like, it just gives that quick little ability. The only part I dislike and I think from a speedrunning perspective, or just anybody who's trying to play through the game quickly, is that every single 5 seconds, 8 seconds, whatever it is, you can use evade again, and it gives you a little dash. And my fear is if that is slightly faster, then I'm going to have to constantly just be spamming my space bar or the evade button over and over and over again everywhere I move. And that just feels awful. Isn't that the same as a shield charge paladin? But the thing is, you can hold for a shield charge paladin so he like keeps charging. Or if you're teleporting, you can just hold for teleporting so you keep teleporting. I'm saying by having like an 8-second cooldown, you have to keep hitting it every 8 seconds to make the slight gain of speed. If you can hold it and it'll just automatically do it, then that'd be fine. Just use your mount. Yeah, you could use your mount in the open spaces. That'll all depend, I guess, on how long it takes to move and where you can use your mount. Like, I doubt you can use your mount in a dungeon, but you're still going to want to do that in a dungeon. I don't know. I just see that being like, a little annoying. But overall, I did like it in the fights. That was the thing. I thought in the fight, it was interesting and fun. You know, like I say, if a boss is swinging at you, you know, having saved that there, you can then evade and dodge and whatever thing. So, um, I thought it was, you know, not bad there. All right, let's get into classes.